Good morning, everyone. Welcome into our Market Manager Forum. We're glad you could join us today. We were really excited about the response that our forum received. We had 20 people sign up for the forum this month. Let's see if all of them make it in. Thank you if there was an issue with having to re-register to get into the forum. We're still trying to work out the kinks on inviting people to Zoom meetings for some reason. And as Scott was just saying, after we all survived and lived through the pandemic, we all should be Zoom experts, but we're still working. We're still working at it. Um, and let's see, it's 11:02, and so I'll just slow down here for a minute and give just another minute for folks to show up. As you come into the meeting, I see everybody has their microphone on mute. Thank you so much. And in just to give consideration to time, because we are going to go over quite a bit of information today, we would love it if you could put who you are and what market you're here from into the chat for us so we can have a record of who's here and you can all see who's here with you. And also, if you have any questions during the presentation, like I said, we do have a lot of information to get through. If you could write your question into chat, if it's something that you'd like to have given attention to in the moment, and Scott and I are going to tag team each other in grabbing attention. If a question comes up that we feel like we need to put a little pause on the presentation for. Otherwise, we at the end of the both the shop and taste presentation and the Canva tech tutorial, we will take all questions after that. And we can also stay later if you have a specific question that you want to ask about your specific market. After we've gotten through the more general questions, we can hang around and talk to folks specifically. On that note, I am going to be sharing my screen to start our presentation about our shop and taste. And as everyone hopefully knows by now, we have most all of our information on all of our programs at the NMFMA at our newmexicofma.org website. And if you go under resources to market manager, farmers market and manager resources, you'll find a page that has everything we have for managers that you could ever have a question about. And today we're talking about shop and taste. So here's our shop and taste page. And as most everyone knows, Shop and Tastes are cooking demos that we received funding from a USDA grant to be able to pass on to markets up to $500 for you to have a cooking or a tasting demo at your market. And right away at the top of the page, we have the registration link for the Shop and Taste demo. And I'm just going to show you that quickly. It's a really easy, short, quick form that we've been using on our monday.com site that we're loving because it gets us all the information and it gets you all the information back to us really quickly. Right here in additional information, we'd love to hear what your ideas are about your shop and taste. So if you can give us a little blurb of what you're thinking about doing, we'd also like to have your preferred date. And what we found out last year is it's never an exact science. And if you have to change your date, that does not affect your in any way the grant funding money. Please, if you're finding that time's coming up too quickly or the chef can't make it, just let us know you're changing the date and we can accommodate that. And so as we scroll down the page here, we're going to see that there's up to $500 available for your shop and taste event, and you register for your event up there. We have that funding through 2026. And something we've shifted this year is that if you had a shop and taste event in 2024, you are eligible one in 2025. So you can run a second event this year. And you'll also, depending on how much funding we have left at the end of 2025, your market may also be able to run a third event in 2026. So just keep asking. I appreciate the folks who asked if they could run a second one this year. So at our very short conference, because that did prompt me to get us approval to be able to run a second event. The requirements are basically to register to be a member market, and to understand food sampling, which we'll talk about in a short minute, and also to return an invoice to us at the end of your event that has a short paragraph and very important photos from the actual event. And we can also talk about what kind of photos we're looking for in as we go through our timeline for Shop and Taste. We would like 6 weeks advance notice, mostly because we want you to have enough time to plan your event. We'll be looking at our 6 week timeline for planning this event. I have had markets that have a very well thought out event reach out to me with shorter than 6 weeks and get approved. I've also had markets that reached me the Monday before the Saturday that they want to run their event. And we want you to have where you might have it planned out, we also want you to have time to let your customers know that it's happening. So there's an awareness of it. So there is too short of notice. If you haven't been able to get the word out about it, we'd really like you to have time to do that. But if you realize that you're ready to go, you have a chef in place, and you feel like you can run with it in less than 6 weeks, you can reach out for approval. And at the conference, we didn't get to show you this lovely reel that Scott created for us. And so it's 2 minutes long. And so we're going to take a peek at what some markets did last year for their Shop and Taste event. So. Okay. Oops. Let me see. Sorry about that. A little, gonna have to get back to our demo page. And so thanks, Scott, for that lovely highlights reel from 2024. As you can see from the videos, and thank you to the markets who had Shop and Tastes featured in there. Every market had their own little twist on what a shop and taste meant to them. And even down to the marketing and the recipe cards, and if they use the Shop and Taste logo or if they didn't use the Shop and Taste logo. Our main purpose here is to help you host a tasting or cooking event at your market. So we've given you a lot of information. Whether you choose to use it or to go in your own direction is up to you. And as you could see, like I said, lots of different markets. We had that one market that did a cooking competition between two chefs. That was really fun. That was Tucumcari. And then Downtown Growers Market actually created bags with the recipe items in it and sold those, which was a great fundraiser idea. I'm sure a lot of work. And my other favorite in there is the Ardovino's chef peeling that peach because that is exactly what we were hoping for. Let's get some local food, something not too difficult for customers to take home and recreate, and then let's just up their education level just this much. And so boiling that peach and peeling it in front of everyone for that cobbler he made really was that was like a perfect example of helping your shoppers learn what to do with local food and learn cooking techniques along the way. So that's what we're looking for. Stimulate their taste buds, stimulate the shopper's experience with featuring local ingredients from your market. Partnering with an expert, it can be a chef, a restaurant chef in your local area, but you can also reach out to the I Can coordinators at the extension office. Maybe you have a Healthy Kids, Healthy Communities representative or coordinator who does great work with cooking, or another food specialist, even at your market, a vendor who's a food specialist. You don't have to have a chef from a restaurant. It could be you if you, as a market manager, are a food expert. Choosing the time is important for enough, giving your, like I said above, 6 weeks advance notice. It seems to be a good amount of time to be able to plan and get everything in order. Our first idea about these shop and tastes is what a great way to celebrate local food connects, or actually we have to update this to we call it now New Mexico Fresh Local Month. We've rebranded our month here at NMFMA. And so we have the reason why we're doing this, we're letting you all know about this right now is because there is enough time to plan one as a August Local Food Connects or New Mexico Fresh Local event at your market. And then the shop and taste piece is because we think watching a chef shop at market, or whoever your cook is at market, to go around and talk about how they might choose local food at market would be a great way to also get into the mind of a chef. Again, that can be a larger reach for a smaller market or a market that might not have the capacity to do something like that. So you can really decide whether you're going to have that the shopping piece the day of the chef event, or maybe you just remind the cook to talk about what they thought about when they chose the produce for their recipe that day. And remembering the last piece on here that is to remember to hand out the recipe. And we have some templates and downloads available for you. And one of those is a recipe flyer that's ready to go. And Scott's going to be talking about that. That's a little teaser for our Canva demonstration coming up. Scott's going to show us how to create a beautiful recipe card for your event. What I'd like to spend the rest of our time here is talking about our event planning timeline that we've created, the 6 week timeline. And it basically has all the information I just went over, plus links to all of our resources. This, and if you wanted to share this timeline with your chef, it'll also help them prepare. Um, Again, here's our requirements and here's our registration form right here. Here is a link to our webpage that talks about food sampling at market, how to safely and with foresight prepare your area, your market, and your setup for sampling at market. I encourage everyone to take a look at that. The other requirement that we have for markets is that they understand that the New Mexico Environment Department asks that when you're sampling food, that they ask you to get a one-time food permit. Now, everybody knows their own community and the involvement in their community, and as well as I'm sorry, the involvement that the environment department has in their community, and whether they're attached to a license or a food permit or not already for their market. So this is what we want to make you aware that this is asked for by the environment department. This takes you to a link to their website that's changed since we put it in here. And in fact, and you have to click through like 3 different pages. And then the actual link to the one-time food permit is not on their website anymore. The link is just not even available. So, and I had some markets reach out to me to say they couldn't find it there. This is the one-time food permit. We have it linked here for you. And I'll talk about that as well. I'll talk a little deeper into that in a moment. And I'm always happy to answer one-on-one questions for you if you want to talk to about that individually. At the end, when you're done, we also have an invoice ready for you, a personalized invoice ready for you to send us by putting all your information in so you don't have to recreate the wheel and make your own invoice for reimbursement. I just wanted to show you that's there. And here's our 6 week timeline. The first of 6 weeks is just to prep for your event. And mostly that we like you to understand and think about what it takes to sample and taste and pass out food to the public. And so we have some resources here. This first Albuquerque Street Food Institute, How to Host a Tasting Event, was actually created. This is a slideshow that was created for our annual conference in 2024, and that's very informative. I encourage you to go over that with your crew and your chef so everybody's on the same page about hosting a tasting event. And then again, there's another link to our food sampling page on our website. And then here is again another link to the temporary food permit for the environment department. And I need to mention that Bernalillo and Albuquerque, we have links for you for your local offices, which is where you get your one-time temporary food permit. They're going to ask you in that to create a map of your setup. And so here is a little mock-up that the Albuquerque Street Food Institute created for us. And it's right here. It says in section 10 of that permit, this is even if all of these, how everything's numbered here and drawn by hand, you could even write by hand what each of those items are: a trash can, your paper towel holder, your bus tub. And if you want to go back and look at that video I showed at the beginning, you can also get an idea of what different markets used as their setup. It doesn't have to look specifically like this, but it is good to think about all of the items you'll need, of course, prior to the event. 6 weeks out is a great time to start. At 5 weeks, we'd like you to start planning your menu. Think about ease here. If you don't want to do cooking, you don't want to deal with heat, you can have a tasting event where you choose some local fruit, local root vegetables, cut them up, set them out for folks to taste. Think about unique things that folks might not know, haven't really ever tasted a parsnip or even jujubes are something that we see a lot now at markets that people aren't really familiar with. Look for, if you're just going to do a tasting event and not do cooking, think about something that you see at your market every year that some local grower is bringing to market that the customers don't have a lot of familiarity with. But keep it simple. Keep your menu simple, unless you have a chef that comes in and knows just how to do it and wants to do some hibachi or something at your market. It doesn't have to be too fancy. And then here's a list of items that we thought about gathering for the event. This link here actually takes you to a food safety website and has about 6 different examples of hand washing stations that you can build really easily at market without a pump or running water. We actually had some setups where, and I'm not gonna recommend you don't have some type of hand washing station, but there are ways of setting up your booth with everything prepared and ready to go where you won't need as intense hand washing or sanitizing because everything's cut and everything is prepped to be served. This link I can't show you because I can't log into Amazon here, but this is just a link. Talks you through having a sanitizing station, and that takes you to a place where you can buy bus tubs. Yes, you can definitely use some of the $500 we give you to build a sanitizing and hand washing station for your market. And then as we go through here, we talk you through printing up your recipe cards, which we're about to get to a nice demo on that shortly, and also how to set up for the day of the event, reminding you to have a trash can, reminding you to have a place for folks to sit, to watch the event, if that's how, if it's going to be a demo where folks can sit down and watch, make sure there's comfortable places for people and maybe an extra canopy for shade. We have a photo shot list, which is some recommended photos you can take to tell the story of your event. And then just some more information on how to invoice us and what to send us after the event. And then really think about, you can go crazy with this. You could put out all your Double Up Food Bucks info and feature some fresh produce and remind your shoppers about the Double Up Food Bucks program if you're a Double Up market. And again, here's a reminder to partner with a certified health educator, and you can get more nutrition information involved in your demo. It's always great to remind folks about the Good Food New Mexico text message program, and that's a teaser for next month. We'll have Erica here at our manager forum talking about some more in-depth information about our Good Food New Mexico text message program. And a sign-up sheet is always a nice thing to gather contact information for customers. You can also have a record of who came and tasted at your event and how many folks were involved. And so that's a quick run through of the timeline we've created for you. it's always available for you, and so am I. I'm always available to answer any questions or support you in any way you need. Um, and that's about all I wanted to remind everyone of the availability of these events. Scott, were there any questions that need attention in the chat, or can I pass the reins over to you for our tech demo?
Yeah, but before you pass the reins, Rhonda has been asking some great questions in the chat.
Good.
Specifically, she was asking about reimbursing the chef participation or collaborator in the event. So, can you talk a little bit about how you might reimburse folks who are collaborating on a shop and taste event?
Sure. If you all you could I would recommend as a manager, if you have someone who wants to come in and run this whole event and wants to understand, you can pass on this 6 week timeline to them, and you can just give them the $500 or whatever amount of the money you agree. Either you can give them all the money so they can buy all of the produce. Ideally, the produce is coming always from your market, that it's local produce. If you have a recipe item that isn't available at the market, we recommend that not be the main item in your plate, but it's okay to spend that money on a recipe item. And of course, all of the serving utensils you might need, that $500 for that as well. And you can really decide how you use that money. Managers can pay if you as a manager put this together and you took a lot of time and it's not being reimbursed from your market, you could utilize some of this funding to pay yourself for your time as well. And so we just need invoice information. If you pay a chef or you're getting paid, we would just need to see proof of payment. Oh, and we actually have Amy here today. Am I say Amy's our accountant? And I just want to check in with her. She's actually our bookkeeper, who she and I okay all of the information to get, or all of the reimbursement requests as they come through. Am I missing something, Amy? Do you want to add anything in about reimbursement here?
I don't think so. I think you've got it pretty well covered. Yeah.
And of course, if you have any questions prior to your event, how do I show you proof of payment before you spend the money? We're always available to answer those questions. In fact, we're really happy to make sure that everything is approvable prior to spending. So just, Rhonda, you can always reach out directly to me and we can talk you through it.
Perfect. Well, I think that's most of the big questions in the chat, but please keep them coming as we move into the second part of our presentation today. Andrea, is there anything else before you pass the baton to me officially?
I hope not. I think I got through. That was thanks everyone for listening to that fast and furious presentation, and it's all available on the website there for you. So if you have any questions, go there or reach out to me.
Cool. And shout out to LeVar. I asked in the chat if anyone had an upcoming shop and taste event on the books, and LeVar at Downtown Growers Market in Albuquerque has one on the calendar on June 21st. So that knowing that makes me want to go up to Albuquerque on a little field trip and be in attendance if I can. I can't promise that, but it would be very cool to go check that out. So encourage all of you to do the same as some of these events start springing up around the state.
And I believe we have Mariah here. Mariah, is that you who's, yep. Or so I think if I have it right, I'm sorry. I believe Mariah's from the Albuquerque Rail Yards.
Yes,
And
that's
they,
right.
yep. And you
Hello.
want to tell, you have an event coming up as well.
Yes, it's on June 1st, Sunday, June 1st, because our markets at the rail yards are every Sunday. And we have the amazing chef Tina Archuleta from Itality, New Mexico, doing the food demo this day for Shop and Taste, and we are all really excited about it. So yeah, it's less than a week or a little more than a week away, and I think we feel very good about it all. Yeah, I don't really have any questions as of right now. I think what I was really just wanting to get today is all of the marketing templates because we are scheduling all of our social media to go out for next week. But it seems like that is pretty straightforward and pretty simple to access and obtain. So I will definitely make sure that all of that gets out. So
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, and Scott's going to give us a little tech tutorial on Canva right now
Okay.
that will cover some of that as well. And we also have Jenna, our social media marketing. I'm not getting her title right, but she is a great person to get when you have your social media ready to make sure you're pinning me through email or you're pinging her through uh, our social media pages so she can also uplift all of your marketing through our social media pages as well. And with that, I'm going to mute myself and let Scott.
Yeah, so thank you, Andrea. Great information on Shop and Taste coming up. Looks like Rhonda has an event coming up on August 23rd as well. So we're glad you're here. And in true Shop and Taste style, what I've done is prepared a pre-recorded demo of canva.com for those of you who are either familiar or not familiar with this platform. Let me know in the chat if you are a Canva user and kind of what your expertise level is. Because this is kind of geared towards beginners new to the platform. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll the video and feel free to ask questions. We can go into kind of like a live Q&A or demo after the fact. So hopefully the video will play back smoothly for all of you. So here we go. So today I'm going to walk you through just how easy it is to get started with a brand new Canva account. We're going to explore one of the pro features of Canva, which is the brand kit and some of the benefits that gets you if you're eligible for one of Canva's free nonprofit pro accounts. And then we're going to start with a template from their template library before we move on to utilizing one of the NMFMA's Shop and Taste flyers for a Shop and Taste event. So buckle up. We're going to go through this pretty quick. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to canva.com. And if you've never got an account before, there are many ways that you can sign up, including using your Google, Facebook, or even your Apple ID account. At the NMFMA, we use Google. So I'm going to sign in with my Google account credentials. And I'm immediately taken into the main projects display in Canva. This is where we'll get started. And the first thing we're going to want to take a look at are brand kits, and you'll find out why very shortly. So I'm going to go on the left-hand side here and click on brand. And here's brand templates, which we're not dealing with today. Let's go ahead and click on brand kits. And just at a glance, you'll see here's a number of the brand kits we're developing at the NMFMA. We're going to create a brand new one, though, because they're useful for all sorts of different projects. So I'm going to go ahead and click New. I'm going to give it a name. City View Market is the name of my market for this demo. And the two things we're going to add to our brand kit today, without getting into all of the features, are logos and color palettes. So this is pretty easy. I've got a logo that the NMFMA has custom designed for my market that includes my name, and it looks like all the other markets. So I'm going to take a high-res version of that, and I'm going to simply drag it into my Canva window, and it's going to upload that into the logos section. Now, immediately, the coolest thing happens, and that's Canva detecting all of the colors from the logo that we can now use in our projects, just so we have visual brand cohesion. So I'm going to take just a moment to name all of my colors. The first thing I want to do is click this Keep button at the top, and it's going to lock in all those values. And now I can start modifying these colors and giving them names. Another thing that we want to be sure to do with our color palette, since we're going to be making many projects for print, is we want to click on each color value and click this Add CMYK button. It's going to add a second set of color values in CMYK value, which is going to play nicely with printers. This is going to make sure all of your colors print out vibrantly. These hexadecimal color values up here at the top, those are just great for on-screen, so we just want to make sure we go through and add CMYK values to all of our colors. Now that that's done, we've got two components of our new brand kit ready to go, access to our logo and our colors. You can see that you can come in here and define fonts, your brand voice, and upload additional photos and graphics and things for your team, but we may cover that in a future tutorial. This is part of Canva.com's Pro features. So again, if you qualify as a 501c3, we can help you get started with that, and you can have access to all of these tools. But we've got the basics in here, and we're ready to begin on a project. We're going to start a new flyer today. So I'm clicking on the Home tab, and then I'm going to click the new flyer button here at the top. If you want, you can also click this plus sign to create, and you can search through all kinds of starting document sizes. So for example, if I search for flyer, I'll see landscape, portrait, etc. We're going to go ahead and do an 8.5 by 11 portrait flyer today. Now, one of the next things we're greeted with are styles. If you want to start from scratch, that's great. You can jump into the elements panel here and start adding shapes and lines to kind of define a grid. But if you don't have a design background, that's totally okay. You can take a look through some of these flyers, these templates that they have, and choose one that works for you. I really like this one at the top, so I'm going to start there. And the template automatically fits the page size that I'm working with. So I'm going to go ahead and just start customizing what the copy says. And then once we have all of our verbiage the way we like it, we're going to customize the colors. So now that I've got all of my text written, I'm going to go ahead and take some elements like this, this element here in the top right corner that I don't want, and I'm going to click on those and delete them. I can press delete on my keyboard, or I can select each individual item and click the delete button. And now I want to add my own custom photo to the mix there. Well, I found a photo I like, but I want to show you a unique feature of Canva, which are called photo frames. This is the photo I want to get rid of, so I've selected it, and I'm going to click delete. And I'm going to choose delete image, not delete frame. I'm going to leave the frame behind, and it always looks like this blue sky with green rolling hills. You'll see those throughout Canva templates, including some of our own, and they just kind of represent a predefined shape where you can drop a photo. So I found a photo from my market that I like. I'm going to drag it into my Canva window, and it's just going to drop it right in the middle of the canvas. But if I pick it up with my mouse and drag it again, it's going to drop it into that photo frame. Not quite perfect. There's still some adjusting to do, so I can click on that. I'm actually going to double click on it, and I'm going to be able to move it within the photo frame itself because I want to make sure to get all the faces and position it in such a way that it's not covering anything up. Almost there. And we'll just kind of move it around like so. There's some other design elements behind this photo frame that I want to access. So I'm going to click this position button, and it's going to open a tool panel here on the left to arrange, and there's also a tab here that says layers. If I click that, I can see all of the design elements in my design, and I want to go ahead and take this photo and move it behind those colorful swirls and kind of play with the way that these are stacked and arranged a little bit. So it takes some experimentation. We'll kind of arrange these like so there's nice depth. Maybe I want to change the size just a little bit so it comes off the edge. And that's looking pretty good. So the next thing we want to go ahead and tackle is the color. That's where our brand kit is going to come into play. And we're going to want to place our logo somewhere as well. So let's take this, this photo of these vegetables, and we're going to go ahead and get rid of that because these templates are totally customizable. I'm going to go ahead and on the left-hand side choose brand. And because I have multiple brand kits here, I'm going to have to select one. And that's going to be the one that we just created called City View Market. And now I can take our logo and drop it in. If you're not using a pro account and you don't have a brand kit, you can drag and drop any logo image into a layout, just like I did with the photo. But you don't necessarily have to use that pro plan. So I've got my logo placed, and now I'm not really sure what direction I want to go with the colors of this, but I've got my color palette loaded in. When I hover over that color palette in my brand kit, it gives me a shuffle option, and I'm just going to start playing with it until it does something that I like. If I wanted to go in and play with these colors myself, I could certainly do that, but this is just going to come up with infinite and unique color palette options using my colors that I've defined, and I'm really kind of liking what I see here. So yeah, there you have it. We've quickly taken a standard template from Canva's library, resized it into the size flyer we want to produce, and we've coupled it with our brand kit and easily been able to modify all of the ad copy, etc. Invite you to explore the tool palette here, which is really intuitive. It allows you to customize the fonts. There's a lot of great built-in fonts here. You can change the sizing, bullet lists, letter and line spacing can be adjusted here easily. And if you're doing multimedia presentations, there's even a lot of animation effects built in. So this is pretty much ready to go, ready to print and share with the world. So one last quick step on this, if you click the share button, there is a print with Canva option. If you don't have a local printer near you, you can actually order prints from Canva. We do encourage you, though, to download a copy. In this case, we'll select download and choose PDF for print. And that way we can download a file, share it with our local printer that we've got a good relationship with, and send them a document that's ready to print for distributing flyers. Before you export that, you can choose CMYK, which reminds you here that that's best for professional printing, and download. It's going to take a few minutes to process that, and it's going to begin preparing a PDF file available for download. So that's it. Pretty easy way to customize your flyer. Now, I'll do one last quick tip here that if you wanted to resize this image for something like a social media post, you don't have to start from scratch. I'm going to click the resize button here at the top, and I'm going to choose social media from the category, and I'm going to create an Instagram post. On this next step, be real careful here. You're going to want to choose copy and resize. If you choose resize design, it's going to resize our flyer that we've just made, and we might want to come back to it later. So click the purple button, copy and resize, and now it's making a copy, and it's going to automatically try to rearrange some of the design elements in a new version that is a Instagram post. So you can see it's not quite perfect. If you wanted to come in and change the margins a little bit and bump these things back up to the edges so it goes edge to edge, it does most of the work for you, and it lets you take your time and just kind of finesse the final details, if you will. And now you've basically got two projects for the price of one, saving you lots and lots of time. And all of those are stored back in the main window here, which I will show you. If I refresh, I can show our recent designs. We've got a flyer called Grand Opening. We can rename these. We can call this Grand Opening Post. And we can call this one Grand Opening Flyer. And then that way, if you need to make anything else, you've got a couple of different starting points to rely on, and you're good to go. For the second part of our demo today, we wanted to show you how easy it is to quickly get some of the templates we've provided for you for things like shop and taste events. So if you head over to NMFMA.org, you can go to the resources menu and then go down to Farmers Market and Manager Resources. You'll find a whole ton of information here, including shop and taste events. We'll click on that. And this page has information on all about how to run and execute those events and what the requirements are. And then down below, we've got a templates and download feature. We're going to make a quick recipe card, but you can see there's things here for A-frame inserts, tabletop signs, etc. All kinds of useful tools here for you. So if I click on this 2-up recipe flyer template, I'm also going to get a preview here, and I'm going to say use template for new design. So it's already created a new project, and I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. And we're ready to start modifying. Now, this template is kind of unique because we've arranged it to print 2-up on a single sheet that your printer could do, or you could do at home, and get some more economy out of printing these. So I'm going to drag my cursor and select half of this and delete it. And we're going to modify the first half, and then I'm going to show you how to group it and copy it over into the second half so you can get 2 on a sheet of paper. This is where I'm going to go back to get my recipe content that I've got saved in this text message here. So I'm going to start by copying all of my ingredients and copy those to my clipboard. I'm going to switch back to Canva now. And every once in a while, things will go a little wrong when you're pasting. If you're on a Mac, there's this great feature that says paste and match style, so it'll keep the fonts the same. We'll do that. But you'll see it messed up my bullet list, so I'm going to quickly go through and fix my line breaks so I get bullets for each of my ingredients. And now I'm going to go back to my text document and get my instructions. And this is a very simple recipe, so there's not too much going on. I'm going to go back into Canva and choose paste. And same thing as my bullets, I need to go ahead and add my line breaks for my numbered list. Now, the beauty of these templates is they're totally flexible and customizable. If you've got a longer recipe than this, feel free to move things around and get it flowing the way you'd like it to. And all you need to do is drag these handles around your text boxes. So all we wanted to do is give you the starting point and let you customize to your heart's content. Now, one thing I want to do is add some photos to this. So I'm going to make room here just by carving out some space. And before I add my photos, I want to make sure to add my recipe name here. I can play with the sizes a little bit. All right, perfect. And now we're going to add some photos from our downloads that we have, including this pepper. If I drag that in, a quick note on resizing and cropping photos here in Canva. The pill-shaped handles on the top, bottom, left, and right of these can be used to crop or bring in the frame a little bit closer without resizing an image. You just kind of pull it in where you need it, leave as much or as little white space as you want. And then down here, we've got a rotate tool where we can grab that and kind of flip it around. Maybe I want to flip it horizontally, so I can issue that command here. Oh, there we go. So we can flip it any which way, we can rotate, and we can bring this in. And I'm going to pull that down like so to have over on the side with my recipe. And the other photo we want to be sure to include is our celebrity chef, Susie. So we'll drag her in right here. And maybe I want that chili pepper to be on top. So remember, we can go into the position menu and go to layers, or I can right click on that element and choose layer, bring to front, and it's going to make it the topmost element like so. And so there's plenty of room left to play within this design. If you wanted to create a text box in here and give your chef a little short bio, you can do so just by adding text boxes, subheadings, or body text, and feel free to move those around and get it just the way you want it. Once this template is working the way you want it as a single copy, remember, we need to go ahead and select all of these elements and group them. So I'm just clicking and dragging. Once everything's selected, I've got the group command front and center right here. And then I can easily click on the duplicate button and presto. Now we've got another one that we can move over here. And we're just trying to be mindful of page margins and giving a place for a cutter or a pair of scissors to run down the middle. And now you've got two recipe cards that you can print out and distribute to your guests on the day of your shop and taste event. So that's about it. That's customizing one of our templates and making your own. And as you're creating your own flyers and posters and things, remember, you can save those as templates also. And hopefully you'll get a lot of usage out of this tool. If you run into any questions, feel free to reach out. We're not experts in Canva, but we're happy to learn with you and share with you some of our templates. And more importantly, we would love to hear your ideas for future templates as well. So let us know. Happy designing, and thank you so much for watching and attending today. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching my pre-recorded demo of canva.com. And thanks for sharing in the chat. If you're a pro user out there making use of this really cool tool, it's awesome. Like, I'm astounded how many features are built into this thing. And nobody needs to go and spend $60 a month on Adobe Creative Cloud. Like, it's just really, really empowering. So we'd love to know, especially I personally want to know what other kind of templates you all might benefit from that we can kind of develop for you in the future, just to give some value back to your roles as market managers across the state.
And am I right, Scott? Once folks get into Canva, there are NMFMA stickers and templates other than Shop and Taste that are available to them. Do I have that correctly?
You're right and not wrong, but we've got stickers available on another platform too called Giphy or Jiffy, depending on how you choose to pronounce it. But and anytime we do things like New Mexico Fresh Local Month or opening season at your markets, we've been experimenting with Giphy.com as a means to kind of download and incorporate. One place you'll see that is on Instagram. If you add stickers to things like Instagram stories, you'll see some little animated things that we've been kind of experimenting with.
And you'll find a lot of those links on, I'm not sure if the Giphy stickers are available on the website, but I know that we have logos like in the video you saw Scott using logos, and those are all downloadable from the website from that market manager resources page that we pointed out. You shouldn't have to hunt too far to find NMFMA logos we have available for you. So reach out if you're having trouble finding those.
I'll drop a link to our Giphy profile here, which is kind of a whole separate subject in and of itself, but a lot of fun to kind of incorporate some animated elements into your designs as well. And so one thing I didn't touch on with Canva, many of you who've used it know, you can use it for presentations in place of things like PowerPoint or Apple Keynote, and bring still elements to life through subtle animation. And it's super easy just by creating a new presentation.
Awesome. That was great, Scott. Thank you so much I learned I'm not in any ways a Canva expert, and I did learn probably more than I need to know about Canva. If you're a non-Canva user, I think that was it gives you a really good insight into what is available to use, and it can be used for simply making flyers like the one Scott showed us. And too bad we can't use the fast forward button as we're making things to make it go faster like you did.
Little time saver.
Yeah.
I do see a question here in the chat from Rhonda again about stumbling into Canva about a week ago. Is there a user guide? My favorite user guide would probably just be YouTube or this community. And if you all want to kind of share tips amongst the group, feel free to unmute and share some things that have worked for you. But YouTube has just been an outstanding resource for learning a new platform like Canva. So just go in and have fun and
Yeah, and we have about 6 minutes left. And so I also want to utilize this time for any burning questions that anyone might like to bring up here, either in chat or by unmuting, or anything
I
else.
do have a question. It's not shop and taste related. Sunbucks. I just wanted to get confirmation on the Sunbucks because yesterday was the first day that they were distributed, I believe. They can be used the same way as SNAP and EBT, correct? There's no difference in regards to that. Okay, I just want to make sure that we're confirming properly.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up, LeVar. We were actually just talking about that in another meeting right before this. It is not only is a confusion with customers, some customers might not know that they can use their Sunbox. And so we're also keep an eye out on our social medias, because we were just talking about how in June we're going to be leaning into sharing more information about Sunbox and how they can be used with the Double Up Food Bucks program. But it is, in fact, I noticed I'm showing my card here because I've got a kid who's eligible. It actually says on the card this year, New Mexico EBT. And so that should help clear up confusion with customers as well. And if you want to print up something for your information table that reminds shoppers who don't have experience with EBT because they just received this Sunbucks card, which is for kids who are getting free lunch program, kids who have Medicaid. You don't have to be an EBT recipient I think it's $150 per kid. They might be carrying it in their wallet and not even realize they can use it at market. Great question. Thank you. Anything else market related, shop and taste related?
I'm kind of curious for those people that are doing a shop and taste, like, do you have a celebrity local chef scheduled? Like what's on the menu? Like entice us. What are some of your ideas for your shop and tastes this summer?
Well, we're having Chef David Swan from SK Market here in Albuquerque to provide three different small dishes, a pickled recipe, a salad dressing, and then a salsa. We're gonna have have him prepare it at the market. We're gonna have recipe bags similar to last year. We're gonna have the recipe bags pre-ordered, and then have some available at the day of the market to increase the chances of sale. We are going to try to implement this year for some of the bags that are going to be able to be purchased at the market to be able to use their SNAP and EBT and double F food bucks because all of the products that are going to be in the recipe bags qualify. Um, so we're going to try to encourage that to hopefully encourage more people with the food incentive program that are participants in it to think differently about how they purchase their produce at the market and think of it from a perspective of recipe building and meal prep kind of situation. Yeah, so that's what we're doing for our market.
Very cool. Sounds good. Thank you, LeVar.
Oh, Z is writing here in the chat that they're potentially working with the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum to do a shop and taste with one of O'Keeffe's recipes. That's exciting as well. I love learning all these ideas. And of course, we would love when you send in your blurb and your invoice, we'd also love to see anything you've created, like the recipe cards. And we might be coming back to you to ask if we can have permission to showcase your recipes from your shop and tastes in a blog or on our website. And Rhonda says that she's having a local person from the community who's done several tastings in past years. They're in the stage of dealing with permits. And oh, their market just moved to Bernalillo County. So I'm just going to remind Albuquerque and Bernalillo County that you get those permits not through the New Mexico Department of Health, but those two municipalities have their own health departments that you need to work through. And I do have links. Reach out to me if you don't have links. I believe I have links to those in the shop and taste information, but it's a Google away as well. So if you're running into any issues, of course we're not a regulatory body and we can't necessarily help you get permitting, but if you have questions about permitting, whether you need it or don't need it, or if you're having trouble getting permitting, we'd like to know because we can't help you with your specific permit per se, but that is something that we as NMFMA like to advocate for. And so knowing if there's a holdup, if you're holding up an event because of something at the environment department, we would like to know about that so we can advocate on a statewide level for support.
Quick question. Do you know how long typically the permitting process takes? I remember we did it last year. I just don't remember how long it took us.
I don't know personally how long permitting take. It depends on each department, but also I think it has to have a pretty quick turnaround because I know like for food trucks that are going out every week to different events and for big events, people are applying on short notice and getting them. So that's why I recommend that 6 week timeline to give yourself enough time to start with the permit. So
Okay.
if there's any holdups, you have time to work that through.
Thank
So
you.
I think today would be a good day to start working on that, LeVar. And please reach out if you're having any issues with that. Rhonda, there is a fee in Bernalillo and Albuquerque. I see in the questions you're asking about a fee. For the rest of the state, there's not a fee. And so, yeah, that is a Bernalillo County and Albuquerque City difference. Oh, we're at 12:01, and we can stay on if you have a personal question or like, not, of course, I'm sorry, if you have a question that is specifically related to your market that you didn't maybe feel comfortable asking about in the group, we can stay on to answer those questions. Keep an eye out for the invite for next month's Shop and Taste. We'll be focusing on our Good Food New Mexico texting program, and I will also be going over the promo funds reimbursement next month, how to use the annual funds you have from the NMFMA for any promotions you're doing this season, and how and when to reimburse for those promotions. So come back for that. And just as a reminder, everything we've talked about today is available on our website at Market Manager Resources. It says Farmers Market and Market Manager Resources, and then Shop and Taste. I saw a lot of people asking where they could see that video again. It's on that page there, as well as the timeline and all of the resources we looked at today. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your May and most of your June, and I look forward to catching up with everyone. Yeah, if you'd like to come on screen and give us a wave and a smile, we'd love to see you. Sorry, we didn't get more.